Welcome to Sipping Success, the ultimate podcast for all things beverage and alcohol. We are here to quench your thirst for insights, analysis, and a splash of entertainment. Get ready to dive into the world of beverages with us. From the latest trends to in-depth discussions with industry leaders, we've got it all covered. Whether you're a connoisseur or a curious sipper, Sipping Success is your go-to guide. Join us as we uncork knowledge, raise a glass to innovation, and help you elevate your brand to new heights. So grab your favorite drink, sit back, and let's sip success together. Tune in to Sipping Success and drink in the wisdom. Cheers. This podcast is brought to you by Mushroom Media, the go-to digital media agency for all things marketing. From crafting captivating campaigns to decoding social media sorcery, Mushroom Media is here to empower your brand and help you scale. So whether you're brewing, distilling, or concocting the next big thing, Mushroom Media has a solution for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sipping Success podcast. I'm your host, Casey Haakinson, and this week we have two guests in line here with us, and very excited to talk with Ken Green. He is the CEO of Robojo Coffee, and Ben Czajka, the founder and visionary of Robojo Coffee. And if you're not familiar, Robojo Coffee is North America's leading automated coffee vending solution. Speed, reliability, dynamic software, and ease of use are the hallmarks of Robojo, powered by My App Cafe. Ben and Ken, welcome. We're excited to talk with you here this week. And Ben, could you maybe get us started off as being the visionary, really the background of Robojo and how you started, where you came up with the idea and where things are, and bring us up maybe to present day where things are at right now?
Yeah, of course. So I got into coffee about 17 years ago, I would say. I opened up a coffee shop in Dayton, Ohio, and I grew that to a chain of 7 stores and sold out of that a few years ago. One of the reasons was to get involved in this. I kind of saw it as the future. I have a love-hate relationship with employees. I mean, mostly love. I always loved my people. I felt like I tried to treat them above fairness. And, of course I had my favorites that are with me forever and, helped me grow the company. But, being in coffee, it's, dealing with a lot of first time jobbers, a lot of college kids who might be doing this for beer money. So it was definitely hard to, manage that, keep everyone on track. And it seemed like over time, it just got a little bit harder and harder to staff the stores. I would say about 5 or 6 years ago, I read an article about a similar concept to ours that was getting started out in California. And I just thought it was a really neat concept. I kind of saw it as the future. And I actually spent a few years traveling the world, learning about this and kind of found this unit out of Germany I really liked. And I guess the rest is history.
Okay, great. Ken, could you maybe tell us how you got connected with Ben and how the whole group came together to form the company?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story. Actually, we've both kind of been in this automated food and beverage retail space for about 7 years now. We were both franchisees of another product in the frozen ice cream and yogurt space. And since we're in Columbus, Ohio, and Ben's in Dayton, just about an hour away, we ended up connecting one day and got to know each other and had stayed in touch over time. And we knew about his interest in the coffee space. And when he came up with this concept, he contacted myself and my business partner, who is now our chief commercial officer, running all of our sales and business development. Mm-hmm. And we all got together and started working on this. And that's been almost 3 years now. And as it's evolved, there's the way the labor market has been, as Ben talked about his coffee shops, but just in general, the labor market in the U.S. right now is so constrained, and there's just this huge gap in the worker supply. And we just felt like this is the perfect solution, especially in this part of the industry with restaurants and coffee shops and hospitality in general being hit so hard with the way labor is. So we're really excited about it. I think it's an awesome solution.
And so, can you all maybe expand on Robojo and where you can go with the product, the service? So I understand you all are in Dayton and Columbus, Ohio, respectively. There, are you going nationwide with it? Regional? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, we are. So we are covering the entire U.S. and would like to even get into Canada at some point. Right now, we're talking to prospective customers all over the country, and I think this will ultimately be a global solution. There's a lot of countries around the world that have been quicker to adopt this type of unattended retail. Where there's no person there to help you, then the U.S. is a little bit slower. So, but we think it's starting to catch on, and with the labor market the way it is, really, people don't have a choice.
Okay, a couple other follow-up questions. Where are you at? Where are some locations you're at right now, just in case anybody out there would like to check those out? And then another one would be like, what's the ideal profile of a customer?
Yeah, it's a great question. So starting with where we're at right now. So we've been very deliberate in how we've rolled this out. We started out slow. We wanted to really understand the operation, make sure we were experts in how to operate the machines. And so we stayed close to home initially. So we have 3 machines operating in Ohio right now, and they're all in hospitals. So hospitals is a really good sector for us. Just because they are just by, inherently they're 24/7. And a lot of times they have difficulty, having any kind of third shift, food and beverage option for their staff. So, and their staff really want coffee, especially at third shift. So it offers a great solution for them. And we can, maybe get into a little bit more detail on that later. But so that's really been good. We've got a lot of interest from hospitals, but the way I describe it to people in terms of where we can be, it's really any place that is looking for either replacing or putting in new a coffee counter, a small coffee counter, or a small coffee shop in what we call non-traditional locations. So that's any location within a location. So just like a hospital, you have a hospital's location, we would take a location within the location. Okay. Universities, military bases, casinos, airports. There's a lot of different options for people wanting coffee and related beverages.
Okay, very good, very good. And so, could you walk us through? We're interested to know, like, I guess a question would be like, what's the flavor profile that you offer, or do you get into that sort of granular setup with a customer, or is it up to the customer what kind of coffee and how they get it or how they serve it, whether it be like a latte or just a normal dark coffee? Can you get into some of those intricacies?
Ben's the coffee expert, so I'm gonna let him do that one.
Great.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so back in my coffee shop days, I mean, I learned people are very preferential for sure. So we're trying our best to make as many customer choices as possible. So we've got several different syrup options right now. We've got a dairy and a non-dairy milk. Back when I started in this, I mean, soy milk was the only non-dairy. Now there's soy and oat and almond, and it goes on and on. Now, we don't have the ability to offer all of those right now, but of course we're working on it. So yeah, we do lattes, we do cappuccinos. You can add a flavor, you can add an extra shot, you can choose your milk. Americano. We've got brewed coffee, so we've got a pretty robust menu, and we try to give the customers as many options as possible, so they can dial in that drink that they've grown accustomed to.
That's great. That's great. Okay, and so want to kind of get back to maybe a little bit more business related questions. So we now kind of have an understanding of the product and the background. So thank you for that. And you said you've been in business for about 3 years. So I guess I'm curious to know, like, are there any changes within the 3 years that you've had to adapt to? Is there anything in particular that might stick out?
Yeah, there's there's a couple of things. I guess I'll talk about it from kind of our direct customer standpoint. So just to kind of clarify the terminology there, when I say our customers, I'm talking about the operator of our machine.
Yeah.
So in the case of like the hospitals, it's the hospitals versus like the end consumer being the person who's actually, consuming the beverage. So I'll let Ben talk about it from that perspective. But the big thing from our perspective is when you go out to market with something like this that people aren't accustomed to buying, it's a brand new thing. It's like you're presenting something and trying to figure out how is the market wanting to buy this. We had really just like one model that we went out with. We said, here's a big kiosk and and here's how much it costs. And we found that there's a lot of different reactions to that and a lot of different ways that people are, need to buy equipment or a large purchase like that. So we developed a couple of different programs for buying, one of which, our most recent change is to be able to go out and offer a no upfront capital is what we call it model, where the customer effectively pays for it over time through us. And, we have a revenue share program with them that's different than our normal license fee or revenue share that we would have in the case if they bought it upfront or bought it all outright. So that's been able to give us some flexibility and some interest from a lot of new prospective customers. And sometimes it's just a matter of being, off cycle of the budget, when they're going through their budgets, their normal budget cycle. And so it gives them kind of that flexibility to go in and do it in the middle of their budget cycle, which has been helpful.
Okay, very interesting.
Ben, you want to talk about the kind of consumer facing?
Yeah, I mean the main one was the addition of the iced drinks. Of course, I mean that's a huge part of sales. I mean, back when I started 17 years ago, I mean, it was there. It was a percent of sales, but I think Starbucks reports that they're well over, 70% now of their drinks are iced, as an average across the nation. So that was one major change we made. So we do have the iced drinks. We've got, 3 different sizes. Again, it really goes to the customers being able to choose what they want.
Okay. Very good. Very good. And then, Ken, are there any specific like tactics or tools that you're using on a daily basis, like that you're using that help run your day to day, maybe from a sales and marketing perspective to get the word out?
Yeah, I mean, sales and marketing perspective, we have been pretty light on that. We went to the National Restaurant Association show last May. That was kind of like our public debut, if you will. We won Most Innovative Product Award there.
Right.
And we've really been leveraging, those relationships that we developed there through a lot of different potential customers, just directly. This is, as I said, it's kind of a significant purchase for most people. And so the sales cycle can be fairly long, and it's just, kind of getting people an understanding of the product and, going through the different options on how they can implement it in their space. And sometimes it takes some renovation in their space to be able to even put it in. So that's probably, we've been doing a lot of that type of, kind of direct networking through those types of things. We're, trade shows, we've done a couple of those, but we had, just in terms of like connecting with the end consumer, there's a couple of other tools and things that I think we've used. I don't know, Ben, if you want to go into those.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we have a bunch of reportings within the system itself, so we can kind of see what's selling, when they're selling, what size and everything, so we can kind of keep track of that. We've used surveys before to understand what the customer wants. I'd like to say we've used social media, but that seems to be very skewed. One loud negative voice can be very loud, so it's kind of hard to really take those seriously. And of course, my favorite is just to hang out at the machine and talk to people. I mean, I just understand what they want, and face to face, I think is great. I mean, I love hearing people say, "Yeah, this is my daily stop. I get it on my way in." I mean, it's great to hear those sorts of things.
One of the things, Casey, that everybody talks about these days is AI, and our technology is really primed for that. And that's it. We don't have this implemented now, but it's on our roadmap to look into how we can use AI to help customers at the kiosk. Think about the fact that you're at an unattended kiosk, and if you have a problem or a question or don't understand how to use it, there are lots of ways to help customers through that process. And we can also, use the technology to figure out how to get better feedback from the consumer as well. And there's a number of tools that we can use, because we do want to be across the entire country. If there's any kind of support that's required, being able to leverage, the some of the more niche kind of video conferencing support tools, if you will. It's not your typical Zoom, but there's ways to have a technician on site and be able to have, the technician use a cell phone and have eyes on the machine for our support team that's centrally located, which is something that is really helpful and just helps us, manage costs overall from a support perspective.
That's interesting. I think we've seen that develop a little bit in the home repair space as well. So that's pretty interesting. It's
pretty big across a lot of different industries now, and I think it's going to be really helpful for us.
Okay, interesting. And then, let's go back again, maybe to your founding. Can either one of you speak to any challenges or obstacles that you've faced and that as a group you're particularly proud that you've overcome?
I can go first on that one. The first thing, these one-step coffee machines are developed over in Europe and mostly used in Europe. And what I mean by one-step is the coffee and the foam all kind of happen at one spot as opposed to a separate person or whatever, frothing that foam. So, I guess we had to Americanize the recipes, make sure that they were geared toward an American palate. And of course, in America, we like things big and sweet. And full too. That was the other thing. I mean, like when you get wine, you get that small pour in that big glass. I mean, same thing over in Europe. When you get coffee, it's not always full. And so we just had to make sure that the recipes were developed for America. Like Ken had said earlier, the U.S. does seem to be fairly slow to adapt to this unintended technology. I'm not sure why that is. I know, over in Asia, I mean, it's kind of they're all over the place now, but we've been slow to it, and it might be, because the mindset of a machine, or maybe like you kind of think about a vending machine, and we built these things to act more like a coffee shop with an arm as opposed to a machine. So all the components with inside are very high-end components. So we're of course faced with that challenge, and then we're doing certain things, I guess, to try to get people to adapt to that. Like we have a show, like there's a big glass screen there. You can kind of see the robot waving around. You can see it making things. The foam art is a really cool technology. So you can print a picture in the foam. You can print your company's logo, or you could even, if you use the app to order, you can take a selfie or a picture of your kids and put them in the foam. So it's kind of just a neat little tool where people are kind of amazed by that. And one thing I've learned too, when there's a line or people there, like if it's just an empty kiosk not doing anything, people tend to walk by. So, when there's, the robot waving or there's a line of people, I mean, people are more apt to kind of, come together and watch it. So all these different tools we put into place to kind of get people to get used to this. Yeah,
very great. And then Ken, did you have anything as well?
Yes. I mean, I think just more from just kind of the general business side. I mean, everybody knows that the economy has been kind of a crazy place here in the last year or two.
Yeah.
So, being a startup, raising capital in this market has been a bit of a challenge for us. 2023 has been kind of a down year for investors and just overall liquidity in general. So we've really had to adapt to that. We've changed our capital raising strategy and who our target investors are and so forth. And but even in this market, we've raised close to $750,000 kind of quietly. We feel like our investment opportunity is pretty darn solid. We do have some really good traction, and we're cautiously optimistic. And it's caused us to really kind of adapt our strategy. But I'll make a little plug here for us. If you have any accredited investors in your audience there, I'd love to hear from them. This where we are in terms of a business, this could be a nice return for them with our roadmap. So,
and then we'll make sure at the end of the show that we get out all your socials, website, email address, anywhere where people can contact you, and then we'll get them in the show notes as well.
Great.
Casey, also, if you don't mind, I just wanted to add one more thing to that.
Yeah,
I mean, Ken had mentioned earlier that it's somewhat of a capital investment. Of course, that's true, but I mean, it's a fraction of the cost of a coffee shop, and that's one thing I think I'm really proud of is this machine, it comes put together. You've got to have the plumbing and electric to it, which I guess somewhat obvious, but it comes in one piece. It's installed and put together in basically one day. We like to have a second day just to make sure everything's dialed in, make sure the coffee beans are right. But I mean, one of the obstacles is making this as simple and as turnkey as possible for our customers, so that it's just a very easy, not a lot of, build out hassle or dealing with inspections and all these things. We just try to make it as easy as possible.
Mm, yeah, very well put. Very well put. And Ken, I think you had mentioned you received kind of high watermarks at a big conference in the industry. How are the both of you staying up to date on latest trends and developments in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, we keep a close eye on a number of things. It's a little interesting because trying to figure out exactly what industry we're in. It's you could define it in a lot of different ways. I mean, a lot of people call it our space automated retail, but it's also food and beverage. It's also specifically coffee. It's also robotics. So we have to keep up with a bunch of different sort of sub industries, if you will. But I mean, one of the things that we try to look at is just because of the fact we're in this unattended space, the labor market and where unemployment is, where wages are, unionization's a big topic now, where everything's happening there. We try to keep up on that because it has such an impact on, what the growing demand for our product is. We are, we're members of some different trade organizations. We do have some of our investors that are kind of plugged into the restaurant and restaurant tech space. And so we get a lot of, emails and email updates on sort of the trends and, in the restaurant and the restaurant technology space. But we've got, we're trying to partner with some of the big food service operators. They have innovation groups. And so, we listen to them and listen to what's going on in there. And, there's a lot of other, different sources. Ben, with your coffee background, you probably got a lot of stuff that you keep track of within the kind of brick and mortar coffee space. I don't know if you've got anything there.
No, I mean, going into the brick and mortars, I think is my favorite way to do it. I mean, websites, reading publications. But I just love seeing what's happening. I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, now we've got these, like I said before, these trends with all these different non-dairy options. I mean, who knows what's going to be next, but, we want to be able to help with that. And the refreshers, the different tea drinks, the different non-coffee drinks. I mean, just kind of seeing what's happening. And, we've, of course, got roadmaps for, we're working on developing, smoothies and refreshers and, fraps and all those things right now. But just going into the shop and seeing what's happening and ordering a coffee.
Great. And then I think this question we've kind of almost maybe danced around a little bit, but you get a good sense of are there any partnerships or collaborations your group has formed that have really helped propel the business?
Yeah, we're working. I mean, that has been really our long-term strategy overall is about forming relationships with the people who sort of control the space that we're in terms of the non-traditional locations that I described. So the locations within locations. So, large food service providers like Aramark, Compass, and Sodexo are, targets for us to form relationships with. And we're going into discussions with all of these guys, or have had discussions with all of these guys. Some distributors like Cisco, the big coffee roasters. I mean, companies like Caribou and Dunkin', and even smaller regional players. We have we don't specify the coffee that goes in our machine. We just specify that it's high quality. So one of our early partners was a regional minority-owned coffee roaster called Rooted Grounds. So a lot of places there's a trend in a lot of places they want kind of local roasters, and so it's important for us to be able to develop those relationships as well. And then you've got organizations like I mentioned, National Restaurant Association, other organizations like NAMA, which is National Automated Merchandising Association. They sort of provide guidance for safety and operation of vending machines and any kind of, like micro markets or any kind of unattended machines like this. So having those partnerships, and we should probably be at their show in May. We're working out the details of that, but they've they've been a good partner as well.
All right, great. And then we are getting down to our last couple questions here. And so for all of you out in the audience, we've been talking with Ken Green. He's the CEO of Robojo Coffee, and then also Ben Czajka, founder and visionary of also Robojo Coffee. It's been a really insightful conversation about their automated coffee vending solution, and you kind of get a sense that the future is now. As they expand their reach throughout the country. So getting into those last couple questions, first one, I'm going to pose this to each of you. So, Ken, if you want to go first, and then Ben. Ken, in working on the business, what advice would you give to somebody looking to create an entrepreneurial endeavor in the food and beverage space like you have?
Yeah, a couple of things from my perspective. I guess our industry, as I mentioned, these non-traditional locations, it's like 100% driven by ability to get into these locations. So developing partnerships with the people who own and control, locations is critical, and really also being able to do that at scale. It's a lot harder to go one by one when you have kind of individual locations that you're trying to sell to. When you can get to organizations that actually control multiple locations, that's really helpful. Speaking of scaling, I would say, don't scale until you're ready. I mean, as I said, we've been pretty deliberate about how we've been growing and getting into different locations, and now we're finally at the point where I think we're ready to scale. But you can burn a lot of money trying to scale before you're ready to, and getting in place all the processes and things that you need to be able to scale effectively. And then I guess the last thing I'd say, and this probably goes for any business, but the team you surround yourself with. I mean, at the end of the day, you succeed or fail because of the people that you work with, even in a robotic coffee shop business. But just having complementary and diverse thought processes is how you get a team around you that can get you the best solutions for the business problems and challenges that you face.
That's great. And then Ben, same question to you. What advice would you give to any entrepreneur looking to get into the food and beverage space and take on a project similar to what you and Ken have done?
My answer is quite simple. Listen to the customer, the consumer. I mean, selling coffee $4 at a time, every $4 adds up to who knows what. I mean, look at Starbucks and Dunkin' and all those guys. So, when I was growing my business initially, before I had the brand was known, I would open up a store and be like, oh my gosh, where are the customers? And one customer at a time, make them happy, and over time it grows. And that's one of the things I like seeing, like when a location that has a Robojo and you kind of see those numbers steadily grow. Well, one of the metrics we follow is, repeat customers. Like you see those repeat customers keep coming back. I mean, it just, makes you happy. So, $4 at a time and grow $1 billion business. That's how it works.
That's great. That's great. And then last question would be, let's get the self-promotion thing really conquered here. So where can people find you? Both website, social media, and then second part of that, if like anybody wants to reach out to you guys directly, whether it be with a question or maybe a partnership opportunity, how would they best get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, obviously the best way is just on our website. It's the easiest way to find initial information, robojocoffee.com. That's ROBOJO coffee.com. You can email us at info@robojocoffee.com. I'm happy to take emails directly to myself, which is Ken, Ken, at robojocoffee.com. I can probably post my phone number if you want in the comments to your podcast if you want that.
No, email is just fine.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get you and we can get you like the direct we're on all social media sites, probably LinkedIn is probably our most prominent. We spend because we're kind of in our world right now, we're in that sort of B2B selling to our customers. you can just search Robojo Coffee on LinkedIn and find us. But we can get you the other one, Facebook and Instagram and so forth, on the post on your podcast site.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Well, that about wraps up our episode here for today. So both Ken and Ben want to thank you for joining us. It's been a really fun conversation. You've been listening to Sipping Success. We've talked with Ken Green, CEO of Robojo Coffee, and Ben Czajka, founder and visionary also of Robojo Coffee. Gentlemen, can't thank you enough for spending time. I know every day is critical when you're growing a business. So I definitely want to thank you for the time.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having us on.
Well, there you have it. Thank you all. And we will see you next week for another episode of Sipping Success. Thank you.
And that's a wrap on another insightful episode of Sipping Success, brought to you by Mushroom Media. We hope our discussions have left you thirsting for more knowledge in the world of beverages and alcohol. Stay connected with us on social media for updates. And remember, the journey to success is best enjoyed one sip at a time. Keep exploring trends, connecting with leaders, and scaling your brand. Until our glasses meet again, cheers to your continued success. And may your cups always runneth over with inspiration. We'll catch you in the next episode.